Did you know that nearly 10,000 species of marine life are transported into the Great Lakes by ballast water every day? For this reason, people should not be allowed to dump their ballast water into the Great Lakes. Since the 1800s, an estimation of 160 new species have been introduced to the Great Lakes. Over half of these species were brought over by ballast tanks. This proves that ballast tanks should not be allowed to dump their water into the Great Lakes because they are doing a lot more harm than good. Remember that time you went to the beach and found a ton of cute snails? Well, those snails are actually poisoning our fish and ducks. And those little fish you like to watch swim around underneath your dock, those are called round gobies. Round gobies made their way into the Great Lakes in about 1990 and have been spreading rapidly ever since. These fish are very bad because they feed on some of our favorite fish eggs. For example, the eggs of smallmouth bass and perch. That means that both of these species are extremely bad for our environment. But that was only 2 invasive species out of the 160 that have been brought here. That just proves, once again, that ballast tanks are really bad for the survival of the marine animals living in our lakes.
Invasive species are one of the biggest problems in the Great Lakes, and one of the leading causes of this issue is the use of ballast water. Around 70% of these invasive species have been brought into the Great Lakes by the use of ballast water. This is why we should try much harder to prevent the spread of invasive species. Some people would say that ballast water should still be used in the Great Lakes even though it is causing the spread of invasive species. They say this because the use of ballast water is the safest and most efficient way to transport goods across the ocean. This shows that ballast water can be a real problem and is doing more harm than good to the ecosystem. One of the many common invasive species are the zebra mussels. They are also one of the most difficult ones to maintain, and that's because they are tough, they have few natural predators, and they reproduce rapidly. According to the International Marine Organization, a new formal group of organizations involved in testing for the certification of ballast water treatment systems has been set up, known as a Global Test Net, to facilitate increased standardization of test procedures and information exchange. If they test the ballast water before they dump it, then it might reduce the risk of invasive species in the Great Lakes.
How is Michigan trying to stop the spread? Well, since 1993, ships who travel from ocean to ocean have been required to replace their ballast water with ocean water before entering the Great Lakes. This process is known as ballast water exchange. Unfortunately, it does not fully eliminate all of the estimated 160 new invasive species. Since the invasive species are so hard to take care of, the damage and removal can tend to cost billions of dollars. If we or anyone we know owns a ship or ship company, there are a few things we can do. The spread of invasive species in the Great Lakes can't necessarily be completely stopped, but it can be reduced or prevented. Almost anyone can do something. Here are some suggestions and further, less expensive tips to prevent the spread of invasive species. If you are a boater, paddler, or angler, you can help by inspecting for and removing any aquatic plants, animals, and mud from your boats and equipment before transporting it from one body of water to another. You can also help by spraying off your boats and equipment with preferably high-pressured hot water, about 120 degrees Fahrenheit, for 2 to 5 minutes. Another idea is to spray a type of no-algae spray. This will remove all algae on the boat, and it will also reduce the amount of algae coming to the boat. Some other things that we can do is drain all of the water from boats, motors, and all equipment. Even seaplane pilots can help. They can help by inspecting their seaplane and equipment, removing any attached aquatic plants or animals before landing or taking off, and draining all water from the seaplane or equipment. To most, this issue might not seem like a big deal. Invasive species might seem just like any other animal in the Great Lakes. However, these nuisances aren't like any other species. They are damaging to our Great Lakes. One small step can make a big difference. So, are you willing to take that step?